you want to sit out here and say, I want to preach the gospel of Jesus Christ?
Yes, I do.
I'm all for that.
Yes.
Okay? However, the issue I'm having is an interpretation of the loudspeaker.
Okay. And that's why it's off right now, too, so we can...
Yeah. My thing is...
Whoa. Here I come. Oh, here I come.
Can you preach the gospel of Jesus Christ without a loudspeaker?
You cannot outrun a God who can speak whole worlds out of nothing. It's nothing to him to raise the dead and to bring them to the judgment seat, that they may speak to him about the way that they've lived and thought and spoken and
Also,
acted.
believer, God bless you.
As the police sergeant approaches the watchman, he identifies himself as sharing the same belief in Jesus Christ. It is crucial to understand the implications of this declaration. By identifying as a fellow believer, the sergeant aligns himself with certain moral and ethical standards that inherently obligate him to protect the integrity of the ministry represented by the watchman. Given his role as a police officer, it is reasonable to expect that he will safeguard this ministry's activities and ensure that it remains undisturbed. In fact, should any calls to 911 regarding the watchman arise, it is anticipated that the sergeant will intervene, understanding that the watchman's purpose is solely to preach the gospel and not to cause disruption or harm. It is also important to highlight that before the sergeant approached the watchman, he was evidently aware of the watchman's activities. This indicates that the sergeant did not approach out of ignorance, but rather with prior knowledge of the situation at hand.
God,
Good to see
the
you,
great
sir.
King,
God bless
and
you.
the only potentate guarantees
It's too close.
that every
That's all right,
evil
listen.
word will be
I
remembered.
have no
Every evil
problem
deed
with your
will be
mission
accounted for.
and
Every
serving the
evil
message
action
as a
will
Christian.
be recorded.
I'm with you,
Every
but
evil
the
act
township
will be
doesn't allow
called to
speakers. You
account.
can't have the speaker.
Every
It's a
evil
violation of the
thought will
township
be
ordinance.
published openly. Everything will be published
Okay.
openly. We don't know
Let's
how
start
long
over
this
for a
day
second.
will be, because
Yeah.
we will be
My
in
name is
eternity.
Yokas.
Yokas, nice to meet
So
you.
if
God bless
God
you.
chooses,
I'm with the
He can
Soldiers
go
for
through the life of
Christ
Yes.
all the
Global
billions of
Community
people that have
Church
ever
in
lived
Long Beach,
and go through
California.
Each
Okay.
of their lives at its present
I
seat.
traveled 3 hours
So
and
it could
13
take
minutes to get
24
here
hours
Okay.
to examine
to preach the
24.
gospel.
I appreciate
Okay.
that. Yeah.
Just think how
Are you a
different
sergeant?
we would live our
I am.
lives if we had this idea
Your
in
name
our
is...
minds.
Sorry, Daniel
That God
Novoa,
will
yes.
one
What's
day
your first name?
examine
Daniel.
every second
Daniel
of every
Nova.
minute,
Novoa,
of
yes, sir.
every hour,
Okay, Sergeant.
of every day,
Can you
of
cite the
every
ordinance
week, every
so I
month,
can see
of
for it
every
myself?
year, of
Okay.
every decade, of every century?
Where'd you
I
come
am
from?
asking you
I know you said
to
you were in
live
Long
in
Beach.
such a way that you
Where'd you
I'm
know
coming
you
from
will
New
have
York
to
City
give
area.
account one day
Okay,
of your
okay.
life.
Yeah, 3
If we
hours.
thought about eternity
That's
more
painful.
often,
Yes,
we
it
would
is.
love our neighbors more.
The hills here
We
are
would
no
love one
joke.
another.
No.
They
The
are
idea
like...
that one
This part of the tape was redacted due to sensitive information. We apologize in advance for the viewing inconvenience.
That's
If
what made
the
you pick
idea
here.
that one day
I didn't
will
pick
be
it.
judged for
That
my
was just where you
actions,
stopped.
My
we
assignment.
would not hold grudges as long as
okay.
we do.
How suspicious is this sign?
Are you holding a grudge against
Or how
someone?
suspicious is the tag on my vest?
My
What they
friend,
called about,
the
they said
only
there was a
thing that
male
matters
wearing a
is
bulletproof
eternity.
vest. That was the
So
way
what
that
if
it came
that
out to
person
us.
hurt
Is this a Democratic
100
town?
years from now, you will be with God.
Okay,
and
yeah, that
it will be a
explains.
distant memory.
They are communists here, so
Forgive
that means that they want to be ruled over. They don't want
You
their
have to.
freedom of speech.
You have to forgive
As the old
others.
saying goes,
Don't pursue revenge.
freedom of
Don't
speech is a
pursue
right.
vengeance.
It is scary. Get
The
over
Bible
it.
tells us clearly that we are to pursue two things. Pursuing these two things will guide us into heaven. Hebrews 12:14.
I gotta look up your
Pursue
ordinance
peace
real
with
quick.
all people
I think he's pulling it
and
up for you right
holiness,
now.
No, that's okay.
without which no one will see.
It states something to the
With
effect that
all
you
men
can't have any
is
loudspeakers
living
without a
love.
permit.
I encourage you today to live out each day, knowing that one day I will be in eternity, and the actions I make now will reflect in my eternity.
It is very important.
I appreciate you guys letting it roll right now. It's,
Only two categories.
you know, say as a courtesy
for
until you.
those being separated.
So we can verify for
There
you.
is the
Yeah.
sheep and
show
the
you.
goat. This means that you must.
I used-
That's where all our ordinances are.
There
M-U-N-I.
is no middle ground.
Muni
You know
code.
what this
Yep.
tells me? This tells me that our
I got
life
E-code
on this
360.
planet is not a joke.
It does come up on- oh,
Absolutely
Muni code right
no
there.
middle ground. You can't
Yeah, that's
be
it.
I see
And then
it.
if you type like
half
noise,
out.
if you type in speaker
It's
up at the
either
top.
you are his or not his.
Upon closer examination, one can discern a noticeable shift in body language. The watchman, due to his familiarity with regulations and legal protocols, is perceived as exhibiting resistance to the authority of these particular law enforcement officers. Their expectation is for the watchman to acquiesce to their beliefs. While it would be imprudent to generalize about all police officers, it is evident that this specific group interprets the watchman's knowledge of ordinances and laws as a challenge to their authority. This perception is further underscored when the police sergeant returns. His altered body language and demeanor signal a transformation in the encounter.
The name of Christ, depart from iniquity. So I encourage us today, let us all as the body of Christ depart from all unrighteousness. Depart from that sin.
So I know you're recording, I'm recording, we're all recording.
Iniquity.
Township Municipal Code 15-49.13, nuisance in a commercial zone, prohibited from having loudspeakers, amplifiers, radios, similar devices so situated as to be heard outside the confines of any building.
You see,
Clearly, this is a violation of that ordinance. So politely and respectfully, I'm going to ask you to please take it down.
You can deceive me.
1549.13. Nuisance in commercial zones. No stores or shops shall use any noise-making devices such as phonographs, loudspeakers, amplifiers, radios, television sets, or similar devices so situated as to be heard outside the confines of any building. No smoke, fumes, or objectionable odors shall be emitted from any building.
Clearly, this is a violation of that ordinance. So politely and respectfully, I'm going to ask you to please take it down.
You can deceive me.
Wow, Sergeant. Your whole demeanor changed. You went from
you can make me believe
a Christian to now.
Super saints.
See, you can judge me all you want.
Judging. I'm not condemning you. Judgment means I'm condemning you. Judging doesn't mean what you
I will debate you here for half an hour. As we debate, that needs to be shut off.
Okay, I'll shut it off right now so we can discuss it.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, I'll do you that courtesy.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
But what was that a minute ago? That wasn't Christ-like. That wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't.
What wasn't Christ-like about it?
Because you're ready to arrest me right now. I mean, did you see the way you was?
What did I say?
Your demeanor.
What did I say? Indicated I wanted to arrest you.
Your demeanor changed.
How did it change?
See, now your demeanor is changing again. Now it's more humble and calm.
How did
See, that's good. That's good right there. But I didn't judge you. Judging someone would be condemning them. Judging someone in a state of law would be, all right, you're under arrest for this, and your judgment will be 99 years in prison. I'm condemning you to hard labor. That's judgment. That's condemnation.
I'm not looking into it, okay?
Now, what was the ordinance you cited again? I just want to see it for myself real quick. Because I do have an ordinance that I saw here too.
It's 15-49.
Okay, hold on. 15-49. 15-49-13.
That's it.
Okay, let me see that for myself.
That's right there on the Randolph Township Uni Codes.
15-49. I'm in the Muni Codes.
I'm sorry?
I'm in the Muni Codes. I'm at 1449.
In the search bar.
I'm at point 12. Okay, I see it. No stores or shops shall use any noise-making devices such as phonographs, loudspeakers, amplifiers, radios, television sets, or similar devices so saturated as to be heard outside confines of any building, or smoke, or fumes and subjectable odors shall be emitted from any buildings. So we have a problem here. It says no stores or shops. Hold on for a second. Where's my where's it at? Let me get my bag. Yes! Yes, my friends, the Constitution. First Amendment. Let me read that real quick before we go on to the ordinance, the correct ordinance that the sergeant should have cited. First Amendment. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free speech thereof or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press or the right of the people peacefully to assemble and to petition the government for the redress of grievances.
Now, some viewers may take this as the watchman being condescending, which may warrant a closer examination. I assert that he is, in fact, engaging in a methodically strategic approach. By alerting the law enforcement officers present to their constitutional obligation under the First Amendment, the watchman is not merely interjecting. Rather, he is setting a crucial precedent. He possesses an acute awareness of the trajectory of this interaction, understanding the implications that may arise. Thus, as the conversation begins to unfold, he takes it upon himself to perform the essential act of notifying these officers of their responsibilities, an act of courtesy that serves a greater purpose. In doing so, he establishes a clear line of rights before any potential misconduct occurs, thereby eliminating any viable arguments for justifying improper actions in the future. The Watchman's initiative ensures that the officers are well informed of constitutional rights prior to any missteps that may lead to undue harm or rights violations. This proactive measure not only safeguards individuals' rights, but also reinforces accountability within law enforcement.
So you're being put on notice for that, okay? Now, the correct ordinance, Sergeant, that you should have cited to me is because the ordinance that you cited to me regards to shops. It says no stores or shops shall use any noise-making devices such as phonograph, loudspeakers, amplifiers. So for an example, if Randolph Diner wanted to pit speakers outside their establishment and wanted to play music such as jazz, they couldn't do it unless they had a permit. But since I'm not part of this diner and this diner's not part of me, I'm independent. I am a free citizen and I'm practicing my constitutional rights. So the correct ordinance, Sergeant, is...
Isn't it just comical to witness? Over in that corner, the officer seems entirely absorbed in finding a way to cross-examine the watchman. I mean, you can almost see the gears turning in his head as he searches for just the right ordinance to counter the watchman's argument. It's one of those moments where reality truly outshines fiction. You really can't make this stuff up. This absurd scenario is unfolding right before our eyes.
15-49.12, noise. And then you go down to section B. I believe it is section B, number 8. Okay? So we're at A. Let me go to B. 8. Number 8. Construction, exceptions. I gotta go back to the number zone. Oh, here it is. Section B, prohibited acts.
1549.12. Noise, Section B. Prohibited acts. 1. No person shall cause, suffer, allow, or permit to be made verbally or mechanically any noise disturbance, non-commercial public speaking, and public assembly activities conducted on any public space or public right-of-way shall be exempt from the operation of this section.
No person shall cause, suffer, or allow the permit of the following acts. You see that right there? On your sheet, number 2?
Yeah, I'm at prohibited acts.
Okay, well, I'm there as well. You see number 2 there?
Mm-hmm.
Now go down to B. What's B say?
Sound reproduction devices.
What does B say? You can start from the top here. Loudspeakers.
Loudspeakers and public address systems using or operating any loudspeaker public address system between the hours of 10 p.m. and 8 a.m. or the following day, such a sound thereof. Hold on, you're shaking too much. Creates a sound disturbance.
The whole day, yeah.
No.
I'll touch it.
A noise disturbance across a residential real property line, but this is not residential. This is the correct ordinance. It says that I'm exempt. Non-commercial public speaking. I'm about to talk on this speaker. Non-commercial public speaking.
What section are you under now?
I'm at number B. Right there. Prohibited acts. Go to prohibited acts.
That's what I'm at. B, prohibited acts.
It certainly raises eyebrows, doesn't it? One can't help but question why this particular police sergeant seems determined to keep that diligent watchman from using his speaker. I mean, really, one must ask, wasn't the matter resolved once the watchman issued the correct ordinance? It feels as though the good sergeant is dragging things out, almost as if he's on a hunt to unearth some evidence that would bolster his own interpretation of the ordinance he's so keen on enforcing. If this police sergeant were as transparent as one might hope, in other words, if he actually followed the spirit of thorough investigation, he might have simply nodded in agreement with the watchman regarding the valid ordinance and continued on his merry way. But instead, what do we have? A protracted situation that stretches on like a marathon rather than a sprint. And let's not overlook the subtleties at play here. The moment those body cameras are activated, the demeanor of the police sergeant and his fellow officers shifts ever so slightly. Like a light flicking off in a dimly lit room. Their attitudes seem to go underground, as if they're suddenly mindful of their performance on the proverbial courtroom stage. It's almost comedic, don't you think?
I want to read it because I don't want you guys to trip, like, you know, I don't want you guys to trip up and anything.
No, it's all right.
United States Constitution regulates the Constitutional Convention. Got this booklet because you know there's a such thing as street cop, and there was this guy running around trying to train police officers to trample on and become tyrants. I don't think you're a tyrant. I don't think none of you guys are tyrants. You are law enforcement. You know what I'm saying? I dare not call you tyrant until you are proving yourself to be one. But right now you're not. We are just going over the ordinance. But that clearly says that I can
stand
do.
by for 1 second. Okay? I'm gonna go call the township attorney and make sure we're all good. Okay?
Township attorney?
Yeah, they give me the clearance, then you can speak.
Why don't you just call to your captain?
No, I'm gonna call the township attorney.
Dang.
All right, thank you.
Uh-oh. You're gonna call the township attorney. Do I sound mean?
I don't think so.
All right, Reese. Did that sound too mean? Sometimes I can be sarcastic and it can go. I wasn't okay. All right. If I sound like mean or anything, just let me know so I can correct myself. You know, I don't want my sarcasm to become like, you know, the what's that word?
Like a point of contention.
No, like belittling someone. There's a word for this.
Condescending.
Yeah. Yes, condescending. I don't want to be condescending.
Oh yeah, we get that.
You know, I don't want to be condescending. All right, if you guys don't mind, I'm just gonna go continue. I'm not making anything come out the audio speaker because I told him I wasn't until this is squashed. But I'm just gonna finish setting up.
Sir?
Yes.
So here's what I want to get. I'm waiting for the phone call back. This is the clarification I want to get, okay? Because there's some interpretation issues here. So it says non-commercial public speaking is exempt. This is true.
Yes.
And public assembly activities are exempt. That's just true. Like in any public space, curbside public space is not owned to a diner. I could agree with you 100%. Right of way shall be exempt from operation. However, nothing there indicates loudspeakers. So if you want to sit here,
Yeah, it says they're exempt from the section.
No, it does not. It says no person shall cause, suffer, allow, or permit to be made verbally or mechanically any noise disturbance. Okay, it does not say loudspeakers. Down here is where we get into the loudspeakers. Okay.
But I'm non-commercial and I'm doing public speaking, so it says I'm exempt.
It's a different. You're under subsection B, section 1. I'm down here in section 2. Sound reproductive systems operating, playing, or permitting the operation of playing any radio, phonograph, which creates a disturbance.
Okay, you didn't get a disturbance. You guys.
We got 291 calls. People calling us in.
You got suspicion.
Okay.
A suspicion, and that suspicion that you receive is already expelled. Your RAS is expelled.
Reproduces and amplifies a sound in such a manner as to create a noise disturbance for any person other than the operator of the device. So listen.
Your RAS is expelled.
So what I'm saying is this: if you want to sit out here and say I want to preach the gospel of Jesus Christ,
Yes, I do.
I'm all for that.
Yes.
Okay. However, the issue I'm having is an interpretation of the loudspeaker.
Okay. And that's why it's off right now too, so we can.
Yeah. My thing is,
Here I come. Here I come.
can you preach the gospel of Jesus Christ without a loudspeaker?
Now the agenda is revealed. Everything was building to this very moment. It appears that the police sergeant has taken a firm stance against the public preaching of the gospel message through loudspeakers. While we can only speculate on his motivations, it's clear that his objections could stem from a range of personal feelings or convictions. What stands out as perplexing, however, is the fact that this individual, who previously identified himself as a believer,
Also, believer, God bless you.
is now actively opposing the very message he once professed to support. This situation raises serious questions about his stance, especially considering that the initial 911 call made no mention of loudspeakers, noise complaints, or any disturbances related to the preaching.
There was no prior indication of opposition to the use of amplified audio from other parties involved.
So one must ask, where is this sudden objection coming from? The answer seems to be rooted in the sergeant's own feelings and beliefs. This has resulted in prolonged discussions and back-and-forth dialogues surrounding the ordinance in question, and it appears he is consulting with the town's attorney on this matter. This scenario suggests a larger struggle at play, insinuating that there may be factors beyond the sergeant's personal beliefs influencing this situation. The deeper implication is that there may be an adversarial force. Indeed, one might argue that this is a manifestation of the enemy, Satan at work. It raises concerns that this police sergeant, despite identifying as a follower of Jesus, is operating under influences that are contrary to the message of hope and faith he once embraced. Such a dichotomy between belief and action undoubtedly complicates the dialogue surrounding freedom of expression and the dissemination of the gospel.
My thing is, can you preach the gospel of Jesus Christ without a loudspeaker?
No,
Why not?
I'm at an intersection. Look at this.
Here's my thing, okay? Listen me out, okay? You have a complex over there, correct?
Yes, that's private property.
Okay. Who's to say that you can't walk around giving out track information and saying, hey, would you like to speak about Jesus Christ today? Can I talk to you in a personal level about Jesus Christ?
That's not what I was sent here to do. I'm a watchman. I'm not an evangelist or a pastor.
So what's a watchman?
A watchman goes out and warns the people. He blows the trumpet and he warns them of impending judgment. Judgment is coming upon these people, and they must hear the gospel. They must hear the good news. Now you are a follower of Christ, right? So now there's a problem here, because now you're acting outside of that. You're acting outside of becoming a follower of Christ. You're unbecoming a follower of Christ now.
So now you call me an unbeliever.
No, I didn't say you were unbeliever. I didn't say nothing about your belief. Okay. I said that you're unbecoming a follower of Christ, which means you're going the backwards direction. You should be helping to protect this ministry. That's what you should be doing.
So I understand the protection of the ministry. I'm all for that. But I also have a job to do.
The police sergeant is employing a rather convenient justification of needing to fulfill his responsibilities to mask a deeper agenda. By invoking this rationale, he seeks to silence the speaker. One might ponder why he hasn't taken broader action against the entire ministry if he is opposed to their gospel message. The answer lies in his lack of authority to do so. It is important to recognize that he is being maneuvered as a tool in a larger strategy to undermine the ministry's efforts. Satan is acutely aware that he cannot extinguish the street ministry itself because it is anointed. It is ordained and backed by soldiers and prayer warriors. So instead, he attempts to manipulate those who lack the light of Christ as pawns in his game. Consider for a moment the implications if the watchman were to heed the advice of this police sergeant and agree to suppress the speaker. The repercussions would likely include demons inciting public complaints against the watchman, leading to a scenario where he is ultimately coerced into vacating the area. This sequence of events aligns with Satan's ultimate plan, with the police sergeant unwittingly serving this goal. It is likely that the sergeant remains unaware of this manipulation, believing instead that the watchman is passing judgment on him.
I'm not trying to restrict you from spreading the gospel of Jesus Christ. Okay? I think that that's important and it's critical. That's it.
What is your name and badge number?
Sal Grosso, badge number's 110.
And you?
Zerniak 088.
How you spell that?
CZERNIAK.
Okay, thank you. And you, Sullivan? 111. Okay. The reason why I had to get your names and badge numbers is just to record who was with me.
Sure.
I have never filed a complaint against a police officer, so you don't have to worry about that.
I'm not here to go through complaints.
I'm just saying, because normally people get badge numbers to file a complaint. So I don't want my, what I'm doing to be misinterpreted.
I'm being completely transparent. I agree that there is there needs to be some clarity in terms of the two ordinances. That's all I'm
Okay.
going to do.
All right.
Okay?
And that's why I'm waiting. I'm not like ignoring you and going, you know. Okay. Wow. You guys get anybody preaching the gospel out here?
Not too often. Not too often.
Not too often. When they come, what they do?
Honestly, I don't think I've ever actually had somebody call me out to somebody preaching.
Wow.
Yeah.
How long he's been a sergeant for?
At least a decade.
A decade? Why is he like this right now?
Like what?
Like he's digging more further than he should. Because this is an open and shut situation here. No one complained about the speaker, right? The call was not about the speaker?
The calls were that you were suspicious. But
Yes.
now encountering you using a speaker, which generally is a violation of local ordinance.
Okay,
So he's
but
investigating to find out whether or not you are indeed in violation of local ordinance. If you are, it is our job to tell you that you are in violation and tell you that you have to stop. If you don't
Okay.
stop, you could be issued a summons for
Okay.
if you choose not to follow the ordinance.
yes.
So he's simply making sure that you are in line with the ordinance.
Yes.
If you're doing nothing wrong, then it's whatever.
Yes.
And we'll leave.
But I think that he feels mistaken, like there's a mistake here. I'm not challenging him, but he thinks I am. So this is like a pushing match right now. That's what it appears to be. It appears that, oh, well, I can't be seen as wrong because I am a sergeant, not in front of my colleagues. But that's not the case here. It shouldn't be like, oh, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'm a police officer, you know? But I clearly spotted something that he missed. So if it says what I'm doing is fine, it should have been in the story. But right now he's going up and beyond to try to shut down what I'm saying so that he can leave here with the understanding that he's right and I'm wrong. That's messed up. And he said he's a follower of Christ. What type of follower of Christ is that? If he's a follower of Christ,
has anything to do with this. He's doing his job, and we do have higher authority, believe it or not. So,
but as a follower,
but listen, we are not certified lawyers, right? So for interpretation of law, we have the resource of contacting lawyers. Those people work for the prosecutor's office, and we also have people that are employed by the township. All he's doing is calling one of those lawyers to get legal clarification.
all right, 1, 2, 2, all their body cameras is on. So,
that's literally all that's happening. It's nothing more than that.
yeah, but as a follower of Christ, he should be protecting this ministry.
What Christ has anything to do with.
Well, you're not
doing our
a
job.
follower of Christ, right? You don't believe in
What
Jesus.
I am is irrelevant.
I'm just asking. You believe in Jesus?
I'm not answering that question.
Okay, that's good. So, but as a Christian, you may not understand this, but I'm just explaining it to you. As a Christian, he should be protecting this ministry because the first and foremost thing in his life is to preach the gospel as Jesus taught to his disciples, to go unto all the nations, tribes, and tongues and preach the good news. So if he doesn't see a problem, if the complaint wasn't about the speaker, he should have just left the speaker alone.
No, because because if the speaker is indeed in violation of a local ordinance and he's neglecting his duty, which he could be significantly disciplined for.
Okay. All right. Well, I will respectfully disagree.
You want to come work for us and tell me I'm wrong? By all
No.
means.
I said I will respectfully disagree with you. You know, it's just a respectful.
That's not up for debate. That if he is wrong and doesn't do his job, that he could face significant discipline. That's not up for debate.
He won't get in trouble about the speaker, man. Come on now. Come on now.
You want to come talk to our superiors and ask them?
They're going to say the same thing you're saying because there's a line right here.
No, there's no line. This is what's written in our rules and regulations.
Do you follow all of them?
Absolutely.
You're a liar.
Okay.
There's a line right here. Okay? You won't come over here, and I can't come to you. Because there is a line of blue. Okay? It's a blue line. And it is messed up. And listen, honestly, I don't hate none of you. I'm for law enforcement, okay? But The problem here is that he feels that he's being challenged or judged, you know what I'm saying, when he's not. And I clearly, because I'm educated in the ordinance, feel some type of way about it. That's the truth. Anybody can see that right now. You see it. You're not going to say nothing. Don't say anything. But, you know what I'm saying, it can be clearly seen right now that he feels challenged because I know what I'm talking about. It's messed up. Now, if I'm wrong about what I just read, I'm cool with it. Obviously, he's not cool with it.
Well, if he's wrong about what he read and his guidance is that you're okay to do what you're doing, then we're going to leave.
Amen. All right.